Hello, welcome to my channel. I am gonna do my brake bleed. Oh, and by the way, do you like my Cuyuna hat? I've had this for a little while and I think it's been on my channel before. I actually got this at a shop called Sicko up in Cuyuna. It's a pretty cool shop, so if you're ever up there, check those guys out. Red Raven, Sicko, I love them both. So, anyway, let's get to this brake bleed and I'll stop plugging places that I like Angry Catfish. I really love that place. Oh wait, I'm still plugging places. Let's get back to the brake bleed. Okay, so I need a couple of things. I need this guy. What this is, it's got a little plug in there, is I thread it into the top of the lever and I can pour fluid in there, and this is just the plug that keeps the fluid from flowing until I want it to. So kind of neat. And I take off this screw, put that in there. I'll do that in a moment. And then the other part that I need is this syringe type deal with the tube on it. This is going to go at the bottom, and actually this little piece on the end does not work for Shimano brakes, because this, if you remember, it came out of a Tektro kit. So I'll be removing that and sticking this hose directly onto the little nozzle there. And I'll show how all that works. It seems really simple. I probably watched like 5 videos on how to do this. This isn't really about how to do it as much as it's about me learning to do it for the first time and you watching my process. So basically, here's what I'm gonna do in a nutshell. If I'm bleeding brakes that have been used a while, I would use the full-blown technique, but I know I've just installed these and I know that they actually work really well. So I'm only doing this to learn. And there might be air bubbles up in here because a little bit of fluid did leak out when I pulled the little cap off and I stuck the hose in there. One thing that I learned from that is I should probably, when I do the rear, I'll angle the brake lever in such a way that the lever won't leak out so easily. So lesson learned there, and then maybe I won't even have to bother bleeding the back. We'll see. So this one, this goes down at the bottom at the caliper, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then that little cup thing goes at the top. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put fluid in here, get it all the way to the end before I attach it so there's no air bubbles. And then I'm gonna push the fluid through here, up the hose, and have it pop out the top. For me, that's all I need to do, because if there's any air in the system, I know there's no air down here in the caliper or anywhere in the cable. It's going to be up here in the lever somewhere. So I'm going to push it up through and get any air bubbles out that I can. And that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to bleed back through the other direction because I know there's no air bubbles down in the caliper area. Because this is a brand new install and that was already assembled and set up for me. I probably don't even need to bleed them at all, to be honest. I'm just doing it for experience. Didn't I say that before? I think I did. I like to repeat myself. Yes, I do. All right, let's get to it because I'm babbling again, and whenever I babble, my videos get really long. And I just did a video about YouTube and my voice and all that. So if you haven't watched that one, it should be a video or 2 before this one. Let's do this. Okay, one of the things I'm trying to do is work on my camera angles so you can see a little bit more what I'm doing. Actually, I'm looking at this. Before I loosen that, I want to tip this lever up a little bit more. So I'm gonna do that, because then that makes it less likely. Wow, is that not the size? Oh yeah, it is. It's going to make it less likely that the fluid's going to leak out. They still say to have it at a little bit of an angle, so I will do that. Don't need to crank that down super tight. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is install this guy. So let's get back to there. I lost which one it was. So I'm going to take this off, more moment of truth stuff, like taking this stuff apart. So I've watched enough videos. There's a little gasket in there. One of the more important things about this process is making sure you keep things clean. So I'm gonna go put this in a clean dish over here that you do not see off camera. You definitely don't want to get junk all over there. Now this should just thread right in or stick in there or something. Does it thread? Yeah, threads in. And there's also a little rubber O-ring, I guess is gasket or O-ring. They're gonna kind of do the same thing. I'm gonna leave this plug in here and I'm gonna pour some fluid in there. So the reason I'm pouring fluid in here is so I can see air coming up through there when I pump the brake fluid through. All right, so that's the top portion, and we'll leave this alone for a second and we'll go down and do the bottom portion, but I gotta move my camera angles all around to do that. Welcome to being a YouTuber and filming this process rather than just doing it. Right? Am I complaining? I think that was officially a complaint. Okay, this is going to be the tricky part for me because I don't necessarily have the best tools, but if you look at this thing, actually now that I'm seeing it, I got to turn it up and I got to get all those air bubbles out of here. So that makes it challenging. So I wonder, here, let me see something here. Oh, thank goodness it's just mineral oil, so it's pretty harmless. Yeah, let's get the air bubbles out of this. I think the best way to do that is to pull it all the way in and then push it through, and hopefully you can see what's going on. You can see that the air bubbles are coming out. The idea is you want no air in your brake line. This is where things get really finicky. Now we can see that we got solid fluid going all the way through. The air bubbles did push out. Oh, good. So I'm not going to leak a whole bunch. You see at the top there where that comes right up. Then we want to stick that on. Nice thing about dealing with mineral oil is that it's not, it doesn't matter if you spill a little bit because it's just mineral oil, versus if I was working with DOT. Now the one issue that's going on here is this tube doesn't seal on there. The other issue I have is I don't have an 8mm open end. So I'm going to have to use this unideal contraption. We'll see if this works. I'll probably mess this up. I just have a feeling. So opening it will be towards me. Alright, so once I open this, I got to make sure this does not accidentally come off. There, it's open. Okay, you only need to turn it a little bit. Now I'm going to push the plunger. I'm not going to be able to watch the top though with the camera. Oh, must not be open enough because I can't push it through. Doing this stuff for the first time, a little challenging. There we go. I actually do not see any air bubbles coming out the top, so that's a good sign. That means I have no air in the system. So I am going to plug this back up. Sketchy mechanic. Okay. Phew. Pulled it off. Let's push this back into the bottle. Make sure this is tight. Oh, that's tight. Okay. Okay, that, I will admit, was full on sketchy because I didn't have the exact right tools. It would be nice if I had a 7mm little small wrench that could open and close that valve. More tools that I need to get. But I did pull it off. It was not ideal, but I pulled it off. And so what I was watching for, which I couldn't show you in the video because I don't have two cameras set up and so on and so forth, is as I was pushing the fluid up, I was looking up here to see if any bubbles came out, and they didn't. I do not want to touch this brake lever, because I don't have a block in there or anything. All I wanted to do was squeeze the air out. So I'm gonna go remove this, and to do that, I'm gonna put the plug back in, because otherwise fluid is gonna spill all over if I don't do this first. So put that plug back in. Now I can unscrew this. And then I will set this over the bottle and pull the plug out, and it'll just go right in the bottle. Well, why don't I just do that since the bottle's right here? So you just basically go like this. Pull this out. Let it drain in, right? No? It's going in there, it's just not going in there very fast. So that's how you can do this part. I could tilt and pour this in there, but this is by far the easiest way. While we're waiting for this to drain, one thing to keep note is if you have SRAM brakes or other brakes that use DOT fluid, do not mix and match the syringes and the little, whatever they call this, funnel piece between systems. You cannot mix mineral and DOT fluid and have success. Very bad idea. So if you do have different, like I do, I have bikes with SRAM brakes, so if I do this with SRAM brakes, I'm gonna have to get a whole different kit for that. All right, that's done. Now we put this back in. I did put it in a little clean tray over there. I'm just gonna eyeball it. I have pets, dogs mostly, and I just want to make sure I don't have any like dog hairs or anything in there, because I usually get dog hair all over my fingers. I'm gonna turn this in, thread it in there. You never want to cross thread anything while you're doing this stuff, so be careful not to do that. It does not want to thread in there very easily. There it goes. If you cross thread something, you basically need a whole new brake lever, so be careful not to cross thread. If it doesn't thread in easy, don't force it. A little bit of a torque. There we go. Now it's safe for me to squeeze the lever. Oh, actually, that does feel better. Yeah, it grabs almost right away. So there must have been some air or something in there from when I did the install. So I'm glad I did that, because that actually feels better. It like grabs right away. Before it would come back quite a bit more before it actually grabbed. Wow. These are going to be really good brakes. This is going to take me some time to get used to them. And last but not least, there's a little rubber thing that goes on here that I gotta not forget to put on. Oh, it goes like that. Okay. So this just caps off the little nozzle, nipple. Can we call it a nipple? All right, now that that's on there, it's actually done. Everything's done. The brake feels really good. Actually a little scary good. So, success. So there you have it. Pretty much what a non-professional looks like doing this. So it's probably good for you to see what I experience. Realize I don't have all the exact tools, but I was still able to pull it off. And even the tools that I do have are not ideal. Like that hose barely was on that nozzle, so I had to hold it in place and stuff like that. But this is what most people are gonna expect. I go watch YouTube videos of people doing this, and they make it look so easy and so seamless, and yet it's not. Like, and the reason I watched a bunch of YouTube videos is I really wanted to understand what was going on. Because for me, once I understand how the system works and what's going on, I can work with it and kind of come up with my own way, because I understand the goals or how it mechanically works and stuff. And I understand that there could be air bubbles in the system and what I got to do. I understand that it's a new install, so I don't have to worry about the lower half of the system on this new install. Things like that, right? I'm pretty stoked that I was able to pull that off, and it was kind of hokey, right? Like, it's a little sketchy there in a few parts, and you know, this is where I'm fine. Make your comments, do whatever, you know. But I pulled it off, right? Cool. And you got to watch it. That's why I love doing this. It's why I love having a YouTube channel, because this is realism. It's what it is. But now I have a sweet front brake. Time to install the rear. The big challenge with that is going to be weaving it through the frame. Can't wait to get that done and just have a sweet setup on my bike. These will probably be the nicest brakes. I don't know, those MT7 Pro Maguras were pretty darn good too, so these might be equal or better than that. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Anyway, really appreciate your support from my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.